how do you guard yourself against just accepting nonsense? Because anyone can say anything. So there could be another person touching a mouse over there saying, well, an elephant is furry, or an elephant is, so at least with institutionalized religion, there's some structures, there's some guidance, and otherwise, it's just chaos, no? Anything goes.
Yeah, true. So, I mean, potentially. So I think, just to say off the bat, that I don't have a problem with institutional religion, actually. I have a problem with the mindset that can sit behind an institutionalized version of religion, but that could also sit in a non-institutionalized form of spirituality also. It's the mindset that's the issue, the limiting mindset, or the kind of blinkered mindset, as opposed to whether you are in an institution or not, or whether you're practicing a certain particular religious tradition or not. I think that's not the fundamental issue. So that being said, I think, there are safeguards that we have to adopt ourselves, in terms of we don't get to abdicate our intelligence. We don't get to abdicate the choices I make in my own practice. So, and this is another kind of just another pedagogical difference between the way, for example, the Bhagavad Puran or the Bhagavad Gita is taught to many scriptural texts, is that if you look at the way that these texts are taught, and that's across the Upanishads as well, where many of them are questions and answers. The whole structure of the Gita is a Q&A between Arjuna and Krishna. The whole structure of the Bhagavad, for its thousands of verses, is a Q&A between Shukadev Goswami and Parikshit. So this structure, which is quite incredible, because many of the questions that Arjuna asks, they're quite challenging. And this is, if you look at it from a religious perspective, this is God speaking to a devotee. Like, what is that person doing challenging God? But Arjuna asks challenging questions. And he even says in places, Krishna, you need to be clear, like, tell me this or that. What do you mean? Those types of responses. And at the very closing of the Gita, Krishna is saying to Arjuna, okay, have you listened to everything that I've said? Have you focused on the essence of what I've told you? And now you have to make your mind up. You have to make a decision. And that's the difference. Like, the difference between saying, this is what you must do, turn left or turn right, versus the Vedic approach, which is, these are all the different options in front of you. This is where all the different options lead to. Now you make a choice. You have to decide, and you have to own that. So the Vedic perspective does put the onus on us that we can't just abdicate our responsibility and blindly follow.
But that puts a lot of responsibility on each individual. Do you think that's a realistic way for the population of our modern society to go about anything? Spirituality, religion, morality?
Yeah. I think if you don't do that, then what you have is, if you look at the opposite of if you remove that as an option, what you're left with is that, okay, then just follow something from an authority blindly. That's what you're left with. That's a very dangerous place to be. And I agree. I mean, that's a lot of the world is in that space. So, and I'm saying that that's not the basis of the Vedic civilization. That's not the way that you can get cohesion and acceptance of something that's different. Because as soon as I'm following something blindly from an authority, if you don't follow that authority, guess what? Like, there's no place for reconciliation of that. So that's why, like, if you look at in schools, there are these 4 British values. One of those British values is tolerance and respect of people of other faith. So that's as far as you can go. I tolerate you. Yeah? So I'll tolerate you for the sake of peace and harmony, but I won't accept you. You can't get to acceptance. And that's why, like, when Ofsted inspects schools on on these British values. Not, you know, it's a criteria in terms of how they think about schools. And when I read tolerance and respect, I think, is that really the best that we can do?
Hmm.
But that's where you get to.
It's a pretty low bar.
It's a low bar.